Hello guys, this is the part 2 of the e-governance program development. So what it is, we've populated all of the necessary activities that are required to be performed for this IT deployment project, which, as we discussed in the last video, literally runs you through the sequence of the implementation of a update on the current government business process cycle IT infrastructure. Okay, so what we've done from the previous video, we were populating all of the activities required. We created the WBSs and then subdivided all of these activities as they will be performed. So what we've done, we've defined all of the activities through the whole phase of the project, and what I'll do is I'll collapse it, and you have the different levels. We have 4 different levels, so I'll collapse it to level 1. I'll click apply, and then it reduces it just down to the project level, and I'll open that. You've got all of the work breakdown structures. Within these work breakdown structures, all of these activities have been defined, so we open them up, as you can see, and you can see all of these activities defined. Needs assessment for the actual functionalities, i.e. based on the database, the capacity, the functions, the sort of coding that's required for the relevant functions. You know, what type of business process cycles are you looking for? Are you looking on improving, you know, the current status quo of these current processes you have on the software? Is it obsolete? Is it able to obviously perform at the right efficiency as required for the new implementation project? So any redundancies will be captured within all of these processes here, and then, you know, this is obviously the inception phase of it, where you prioritize all the services and the project, incorporate domestic and global learning. All of these are all more or less work streams, okay, that need to be performed. So current state assessment, it's a work stream. You assess critical assessment of the current business process and pain areas, i.e. where you have issues with the functionalities. Is it capturing what it's supposed to? Are there waiting times, long lead times in terms of processing customer data, or employee data, or citizens data, etc. So as you remember, it's a government project. We look at best practices in similar environments. It could be taken from other IT implementation within a different discipline that also it involves a business process that's been successfully deployed. You know, can they take, you know, the best approaches within that industry and transfer them to see efficiency gains in how this new software deployment or ERP systems are going to be deployed within all the governmental agencies. Alright, so we've looked at all of that, given you a bit of background into the actual project. What we're going to do now is to actually sequence all of the activities in terms of the relationships. So we're going to add predecessor successors to all the relationships. And what you can see here is, for all of these work streams here, you've got all of these activities already sequenced, but I've added in 1 or 2. So if we look at this activity, for instance, if I wanted to see whether it had predecessor successors, all I'd literally do is scroll down to the area down here that has the layout for all of the attributes that can be defined for the activity. So I'll click on the relationships, and usually this is what I like to use, because I can see the predecessor and successors for the selected or highlighted activities. So if we open up and expand all, and we'll take it line item by line item, what P6 does is it allows you to obviously capture all of the information and define it for the activities accurately. It might be a long-winded process, but what you do is you literally go line by line item by line item, making sure that all of the attributes are associated to the activity, so that when it comes into the project progresses into the execution phase, you've captured all of the attributes, all the requirements. You know, the actual program's built accurately, it's built robustly, it's dynamic, and it incorporates the full scope as per the requirements definition. Alright, so to start sequencing the activities. We'll run through all of these. I'll just expand it so I open out all of the activities, which I've done, and here we can see all these are sequenced right the way down. This activity here isn't sequenced. It doesn't have a predecessor or successor. Neither does this activity, but this one does. So the first two activities will be linked together. We could either do it from the screen here, or we can do it via this open window here for this attributes for relationships. So this here, we have to create the start milestone for the activity. As I said, every project should have a start milestone and a finish milestone, basically. So it's the start of the project. So we'll call this the start governance. Okay, so created that. What we will do is we will we will link that activity right there, which you can link off of the Gantt chart itself. All you do is just hover over the end of it, and you want to finish the start relationship. You drag the relationship arrow right to the front of the successor activity. You double click it, and it's created a finish the start relationship there. And as you can see in the successor layout window, it shows you that that activity that's highlighted, which is supposed to be a milestone, but it's got a 5-day duration by default. Now to change that into a milestone with a 0 duration, all you do is just scroll down to the general, and you can select the activity type, and you change that to a start milestone because it's the start of the actual project. Okay, so start milestone, we select that. As soon as you do that, you scroll back up and you see it's gone down to a 0 duration. Okay, so that's that. We scroll back down, and as I said, every project has got to have a finish milestone as well, so we add that in there, and that will be the practical completion or the project completion. What we do, as soon as that's created, I want this activity to go all the way down, so 1240. All I have to do is scroll down, and as you can see, I want it to be E1031. So in order to do that, I just do E1031. As soon as I press enter, it will take that activity straight to the bottom, and we'll just label this project completion. Press enter, and then do the exact same thing we did for the start milestone. As you can see, by default it creates all the activities as task dependent, which is a default P6 function. So we click on that and we select the finish milestone, and what happens is it changes to just a finish date and a 0 duration. So we'll just drag this further to the right so we're able to see all of the columns. Alright, and then we drag the Gantt chart over to the left so we're able to see that as well. And as you can see, it starts from day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, day 6, day 7, and that's a full week, but obviously we call it a working day with 5 days, a full working week with 5 days. Alright, so that's all done. We've created the finish milestone right there. What we want to do is link this activity right here to the finish milestone. So as I said, you've got different ways of doing it. You can either do it via this option here, or you could come over to the relationships as we did before, and because it's highlighted already, as we said, the last activity or activity type within any project should always be the project completion finish milestone. Okay, and we will select to assign a predecessor activity for that particular activity. Just a second. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll assign that activity either from this location here. So we'll go to the successor window, predecessor window, we click on assign, and it comes up with this dialog box where you can literally just look at all the activities. You select the predecessor activity, which will be sustain change, capacity building and communication, activity ID E1030. Alright, and we click add, and it adds that activity as the predecessor. Now if you wanted to add multiple activities, all you have to do is hold down the shift button, click on the activities you want to highlight, and then you could do that and just press the plus. But we only want this activity here, so we'll click the plus button and click the exit. Okay, so there we go, we've added that activity in there. Now we have a series of activities that haven't actually got links in there, so what we're going to do is we will literally try and get these activities that haven't been given. So as you can see here, we've got an untitled activity here. We'll say the requirements analysis completion. We'll call it requirements analysis completion. Alright, so we'll convert that to a finish milestone because it signifies a finished stage of that particular WBS. Okay, we've created that, and we go back to relationships, and there you have it, we've created that there. And the activity for this has been created as a 1-day duration. Now I'm struggling to see where it's imported my activities. Let's just look through. Oh, here we are. So these are the dates, and because we haven't got actual links in there, they're so far back. So what we'll do is, up here we can see no predecessor successors, and these activities obviously all follow finish to start. So there is an easy way to do all activities that follow finish to start. You just select, hold down your shift button and click on the activities, and they will all be linked. Okay, so I will do that right this second, and you'll see that all of these activities down to this one here will all be linked. All I do is click and highlight them, right click and scroll down to link activities, and you could do multiple activity linkings, but then the relationships have to be finished to start. If they're not, then this is not an option to use. But because this is a demonstration, we're just trying to do it to save time. But ideally, if these relationships had to be linked, you would do that from these two windows here. Alright, so we'll click on the link activities, and what that does is it links all of these activities finish to start right the way through, all the selected activities. Okay, and as soon as that's done, as you can see, it's linked to everything. So what I would do is just do an F9, just because I want all the activities arranged on a particular data date. So I do that, and as you can see, it's moved them all the way from January 26 right the way through. So let me just highlight that and then just drag it all the way, as you can see there. Yep, so all of my activities are done. Well, now I just start to link it right the way from the top. So that's the first activity, that's linked down to this activity over here. What I want to do is just minimize it so I can see all of the activities, and these are the summary bars, and the summary bars basically are also the equivalent of WBSs, but on the Gantt chart they're represented by these summary bars. Okay, and it has obviously the end date for the particular summary bar. Okay, so this location here on the Gantt chart houses all of the activities here, but this is just a date duration. All these bars represent date durations, okay, on the WBS, on the Gantt chart. Okay, so it's a graphical representation of your project plan. Okay, don't forget that. Okay, so that's that, and what we want to do is just link them all. So what we're going to do to save time is just basically link them all finish to start. So as I said, you can do it either from this window here. I just drag it over to this activity here, and that's a finish to start sorted. I do the same with this activity here. Highlight over it, hover over, you see the arrow, you drag the arrow right to the back of it, and you link that over there. Now we do the same with this work stream here. You drag it all the way here, and that's another finish to start relationship created. And likewise with this activity here, you do the same. Alright, we drag it down. Now you can do start to start relationships as well. which is we could say this WBS, or at the end or at the start of this particular activity, we want the define implementation approach activity to start with this activity. As you know, all you have to do is just drag over, pull it over to the start of this, and there you have it. You've created a start activity. So any activities obviously that require start to start on the same day, you just do this same relationship. Okay, so that means this activity will start the same day as this activity. And then we could say this activity also assess detailed funding requirements and business model. Would say these two start on the same day as well, assuming all these are just assumptions. Okay, all right, so we'll just say these two start on the same day, and then we'll say definition of detailed functional and technical requirements can start the same day as bid evaluation and vendor selection. So we could do that and say start again with this activity. Alright, do the same thing. There is also another way that you can actually do that as well, is if you scroll up to the column section, you right click on the columns, click on columns, then you can see the available options. You select available options, group and sort list, and then what we could do is put in the predecessor successor columns, where you can also assign predecessor and successors as per the relationship requirements for how the sequence of works is going to be carried out. So we look for predecessor, and that's on the P. Scroll down, predecessors, where are you? And we scroll down for successors, do the exact same thing, double click, and it goes in there. Alright, so you scroll down, highlight and down, and click apply. Okay, as you can see, we've got the predecessor successor columns. Stretch it out a bit so you can see exactly what's in there. Alright, so that's that. As you can see, we have all of the predecessor successors showing, so you can kind of use this to do your schedule analysis. If you wanted to know what the activity's predecessor or successor is, straight from the activity layout spreadsheet, you could view it there, or you could view it down in the details section of the spreadsheet location. Okay, so I'll show you how to do it from this location here. So as you can see, creation of bill of materials has no successor. Let's just assume that the successor for this activity happens to be this activity here, approvals of purchase order. So all you do is select anywhere within the box, and then this dialog box pops up, and we look for the activity D100. Make sure you look at the activity IDs D100. You select it, and then you click add, and it adds that activity as the successor. You close the window, so you can either choose to do it from this location on the spreadsheet or within the activity detail window location. Okay, so we'll continue doing it off of the actual Gantt chart because it's a bit quicker. Alright, so what we will do is this activity here, we will say is succeeded by that activity. You do the same thing here as well for this activity. Alright, same thing here. And then you do the same thing here. We're just making these relationship assumptions, okay, just so we can literally just speed up the building process of the program. But you'd have to just assign all of these predecessor successor links as per how the work sequence will actually be carried out. Okay, so we just select that, and then what we do is select this activity here to finish the start here. There. Now what we could do is just select these three, because we are assuming finish the start relationships for all of them, highlight them, right click and click on link activities, and it links all of these activities, these three together. and then you just do the exact same thing again and link this finish to start with this activity here. Okay. Doesn't want to seem to do that, so all we'll do is just click on that activity. Got approvals, the user, yep, it's already linked. Okay, alright, we'll do the same thing for this activity here. Link its successor to that. And link that activity there. There, and start these two together. As you can see, it's all done. Alright, so we've linked all the activities, and just to make sure that you have no open-ended activities within the program, what you could do is just scroll up to the ribbons at the top, and what you want to do is select the filters. Now, in order to select filters, you scroll over the filter that looks like a funnel, the icon that looks like a funnel, you select it, and I have preset filters for activities with no predecessor or successors, so I'll just scroll through to get the actual filter and select that. So it's open-ended activities is what I labeled it. Here you go, open-ended activities, which means activities without predecessor or successors. I'll let you see what the parameters that I used. Okay, so that basically is where predecessor equals dash, which means no predecessor, or successor equals dash, nothing. So you can set these parameters for filters and you label the filters. Okay, so click that, and when we click apply, click that and we click apply, and the only activities that should have that would be the start activity and the end activity, as you can tell, because the start activity has no predecessor, and the start milestone has no predecessor, and the project completion milestone has no successor. Okay, so the project go live date, oh, that actually needs to get a successor, so we assign it. You click on that, and we know that's create as built document. So what we'll do is we'll select create as built documentation because it's following in sequence, and the relationship type is a finish to start to project go live to create as built documentation. Click the add, and then you close. As you can see, it's added that, and then from this location here you can also configure what the relationship types will be. You have the lag period, so if you wanted this activities to start the predecessor activity of project go live, you needed a lag period to try and achieve a particular date. All you would do is put a lag in there, and what happens is the predecessor activity will drive the dates for this activity. Okay, so if you wanted this activity to start on a particular day, the predecessor early finish dates plus the lag will give you the required date you're trying to achieve for the project go live date. If there was a margin between the early finish date and the early start date of the project go live date. Okay, so we've done that. Now we'll just take off the filter so we can see all the activities. We click apply, click OK, and all the activities are back on there. Okay, right, and based on that we will end the video, and we will continue the rest of the program development in a part 3 video. I hope you guys have enjoyed it, and we will catch up very soon. Thank you very much.